Hi, I'm Brendan Fehr.
And I'm Majandra Delfino. A decade or two ago,
Closer to 3, really.
a while back, we starred in the cult hit WB show Roswell.
And while we are in fact ex-co-stars, we are also actual exes. In real life.
Boyfriend and girlfriend exes.
Unnecessary clarification. But welcome to the ExFiles, where we analyze all things Roswell. Episodes, co-stars, guest stars, and all the goings-on in front of the camera and behind the scenes.
In our probe, we may or may not agree, we may or may not get along, but if our history is any indication, we will most certainly dig up old stuff from the past and throw down. With guests, old and new, weighing in on who was right and who was wrong.
Oh, if we remember it, we're going to talk about it.
And if we don't remember, it's all good, because I kept my teenage diary to cross-reference, corroborate, confirm.
Wait, what?
Correct. So be prepared to pick a side.
Your actual diary, like, for real.
Having a change of heart?
More like a change of underwear.
Welcome
to the X-Files.
It's so great to see you again.
It's
This
so
is
wonderful, too.
incredible.
3 different locations.
Where are you, Bren?
I'm
thought you
in
were
New
Canadian.
Mexico.
He lives in
What?
Albuquerque. He went full
I live in Albuquerque.
Michael Darren.
Really? Are you
Yeah.
an American?
No, not yet.
That's
I've been
not a hard
thinking about
question.
it recently, but I don't know. I just no, still Canadian.
You're thinking about American or thinking about marriage?
No, thinking about getting my citizenship,
Oh, to what end?
but I don't know. I don't know what it does for me.
Well, we want yours.
I know.
Jeannie's dad was born in Montreal, and we're going through all the hoops we could possibly go through to get Canadian citizenship.
My kids are all Canadian citizens, and we had to fill out a form,
Is that true?
and it cost us $25,
Amazing.
and that was it.
Wait, your kids are Canadians?
The Canadian citizens, yeah,
Unbelievable.
How old are your kids?
16, 13, and 11.
I know.
I know. That's like almost how old. Not quite, but
That is how old I was.
it's not.
It is.
It's not.
How
We
old
know
were
the
you?
date.
You were 17, 18. How old were
17.
you?
I was 17. He gets so mad because it makes him seem real pervy.
Yeah, because you
during
were
the pilot.
You were a lot older than her.
Brendan, you were 3. You are 3.5 years older. Like my sister.
Oh, that's not pervy.
I know. That's why. But it makes, people just don't assume. Like they just hear he was with a 17-year-old. But
Were you on Weird Hours with us, or were you emancipated, as we say, into business?
Me, I was
Yeah.
GED. Yeah.
You already had it.
I got it for Roswell. And my mom took it so that I wouldn't, because, back then it was like just the piece of paper. That was the only way to prove it. And she took it and put it in her safe until, as like, you have to keep going to school. You've got to go to college. Plot twist, didn't go to college.
Look how happy you are.
Yep.
Watching this back, obviously
Yeah.
Riverdog, first episode you directed.
Did you watch it recently?
I watched it last night.
Today, I watched it today, yeah.
I watched it today, too. First of all, how great is John Bartley?
I mean,
Incredible.
And the shots are wonderful. I don't know if they're my design or his design, but a lot of the stuff before we get, and I love these close-ups. I've gone back to these close-ups on my shows. A lot of people hate them, but I fucking love this.
Like on a 120.
Oh, no, longer than that, like on a 300. Like,
Oh.
but it's
how I
it's
feel about
beautifully shot. You hate that tech crap.
No, I love it. I'm always like, longer lens.
Oh, yeah.
You don't own
Majandra.
that long of a lens. Just
I mean, I'll take out a 75, and Mahandra's like, don't
I'm
you
like,
point
what is
that thing at me.
What is that? Just so mad.
Are you guys shooting stuff together?
Well, we remember that project.
Oh, God, yes,
we
I do.
ended up taking it.
We shot it.
Yeah, we shot it. Fans raised money for it, and we shot it during COVID. It was.
That's a fun time to shoot.
It was.
Oh, it was brutal.
The stress too.
the stress, and it takes all the fun out of what we do.
And just to have like a micro budget and have to spend so much of it on COVID was driving me bananas. And then we're both, I wrote it, he directed it. We're both in it. And every time they'd come to take the tests, the COVID tests,
God.
we were.
But yeah, if any one of us would have gone down, the whole thing was like over.
I remember this. I was so proud of you guys. I'm still proud of you guys.
So we ended up shooting like a 71-minute pilot.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
So funny because we kind of were like, it just wasn't working in the way we wanted. People were not understanding like the Roswell of it all. They're like, who cares? And then weirdly, the pandemic is like everybody got on social media.
Yeah.
And it gave us the courage. And it was so much fun. I mean, truly one of the best times I've ever had shooting something. So fun. Didn't you have so much fun, Brendan, or was that just me?
It's one of the most satisfying things I've ever done in my entire life.
It sounded like she was leading the witness there.
Right? That's how I felt too. It totally was leading the witness. He does.
Now let me lead the witness. What did you think of the new Roswell?
I have politely said that
I'm going to plead the fifth.
I'm going to say that I
tried. I tried.
It's awful.
I didn't even try.
Yeah.
Because Because we're jelly.
They tried to
should have been us.
Well,
it 100% should have been.
At the time, when was that? Like 8 years ago?
4, 5, 6 years ago, yeah.
When they first.
But why that then? Why not these people? They're all still alive.
I said
we were all the same age basically. We're just as we've all aged nicely.
This is pre-pandemic.
It would have worked.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it was very upsetting.
You were an exec on Roswell, but that was the first episode you directed.
Roswell, formerly Roswell High.
Right.
Yes.
Was a series of young teen novels. What are they called?
Yeah.
YA.
Yeah.
And my wonderful producing partner that I had at Paramount, Lisa Olin, and I were brought these novels by, what's his name? Kelly.
Yeah.
Kevin Kelly Brown.
And the woman who runs Fox now, was running Regency, loved them. And she came to see me on the set of Insurrection, the second Star Trek movie I was directing. She said, I want to make a deal. I want to make these. And the next thing I knew, the project was no longer at Paramount, no longer with me, but it had Jason Katims attached, who was Friday Night Lights and Parenthood, I think, both before Roswell.
No, he was just My So-Called Life. No, Parenthood or Friday Night Lights were not before Roswell.
Oh, well, he was there.
Parenthood wasn't?
No, that's with Dax Shepard.
Don't snap at him. He's your
love
friend.
That it always comes back to Dax Shepard.
I know, and she always throws Dax Shepard in my face.
It's 6 degrees of separation.
Exactly. Sorry, so go on.
So then I met Jason, and Jason politely, I had to be included as an executive producer because I had the rights to the project. And then it became, and he's a great writer. The only thing I contributed as a producer to the show, because he didn't want me involved in it for writing meetings, was the introducing him to Ron Moore, who was the writer from First Contact, who created all the mythology of the Klingons on Star Trek, who's a genius, who now does Outlander and For All Mankind. And I mean, so those two, who are essentially peers now in terms of the showrunner world out there, that contribution, I think, was the best thing that I contributed, because the show was cast by Nutter, because I wasn't allowed to direct the pilot, because I thought I was going to direct the pilot of the show. And the cast is spectacular. So
Did you have any involvement in the casting process at all? Like, did you know who was going in? Did you watch tapes? Did you see anything?
Yes, I did. I tried to hire somebody instead of you, but it didn't work out. Everybody else liked you. Yes, I was involved in the casting, but I wasn't certainly wasn't the final decision. But I think the cast is great.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you remember when the other thing I contributed as a producer was there were problems with some of the members of the cast? who were showing up late and who weren't prepared. And Jason, as you were called, was very reserved and sort of non-confrontational, I think is a gentle way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had asked me if I would take a meeting with you guys. Do you remember any of this? We went in a boardroom or a conference room in the writer's office. I tell this story often at conventions. And the meeting was essentially that I was meant to be an example as a fellow actor to encourage some showing up on time, knowing your line. The only things you really have to do as an actor are show up on time and know your lines.
The basics.
Doing the actual job you've been paid to do.
But seriously, because someone else is going to make you look good because they're going to do makeup, hair, and costumes. Hopefully there'll be a director who will explain to you if you don't understand what the scene is. Somebody's going to stage it and tell you where to go. Bartley, our genius DP, will make you look good or bad, whichever is appropriate. So all the other jobs, if they're done right, your responsibility is got to show up. Show up on time, get ready, know your lines, maybe have some ideas. But and a couple of people weren't doing that. And I said, look at this sheriff. How lucky we to have him. Do you like him?
Oh yeah, Bill Sadler.
I loved him. I didn't know how lucky we were at the time. I didn't.
You probably hadn't seen Shawshank Redemption.
Well, of course, I knew who he was. Die Hard 2. Picked his brain and we got along. But I was still. I think I was. You're at that age where. We're the younger, cooler people. Like he was the old guy, and he was like, and he was our age now.
Yeah.
And I don't feel old at all, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, but I just didn't know. I don't think Nick got a lot out of him because of how
Nick
many
worked with
scenes
him,
they had together. And I don't think I fully, even that, I just don't think I didn't have the capacity to know, I'd fallen into it. And I don't want to say I took it for granted. I just didn't know how lucky I was.
And that was my point in this meeting, was that Robert is an example of how it's done. Right?
Yeah. Oh, Bill Sadler?
I'm sorry. Bill Sadler is an example of how how it's done.
100%.
I pitched that to the actors. And then the people who weren't being good were good for a couple of days. And then, it went back to the way it was.
Obviously, what's funny is
obviously you guys weren't the problem.
I don't recall any, and we had Patrick Norris on for our very first episode.
Right. No, didn't Nutter do the pilot?
No.
But for this podcast, we had Patrick Norris on for the very first episode.
How's he doing?
He's
just
doing
delightful.
He's still the same. He's just
so
awesome,
chill,
man.
So
is he
chill.
is he still rocking the long hair?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looks identical.
Identical. Yeah.
And he said the same thing about know your lines. And I don't. I know who it is, but I don't remember. I have a feeling I know who it is.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't remember. I don't remember that. Me and Majandra had most of the scenes together. So
yeah.
And then obviously me, Jason, and Kate. So it's like I don't ever remember that being a problem when I was doing scenes. So, yeah. I don't know, but that's the second time that it's
really?
Yeah.
Norris did. Norris was like,
because it was a problem.
Yeah. Clearly, if you had to sit us all down.
Very interesting.
My goodness.
But it was it was one of the only other jobs I got as a producer, and then he decided, Jason, to put me in as the official spokesperson of the paranormal, and had me play myself, which was also weird.
That's right. But I have to say, it's so funny because at that age, you're so out to lunch. Like I was so in my own world and, oh my gosh, just teenage hysteria that you're so unaware of the dynamics going on amongst the adults and the actual professionals. But I just remember so distinctly when you were on set, it was the most fantastic energy of all time. I mean, of all time, it set such a standard that no one has met. And the singing of songs, I was like, what a delight. This human being wakes up whistling with just, I don't know, maybe that's not true, but you just had
I'm pretty happy and I'm pretty lucky and grateful.
Oh, it's just And it shows. It's so wild. I remember that being such a striking thing at that age and just being like, gosh darn it, what a way to walk through the world. This is how it should be. And do you remember the salad song?
My favorite part of dinner is not the rich desserts. Desserts won't make you thinner and bright-eyed and alert. I like the salad. I like the salad. I like to toss it up and pour the dressing on. I like the salad. Do I remember it?
I feel so seen right now. I feel like I have tried to sing this for Brendan, for Jason, so many times. And there's always a bit of a, what is she talking about? And now
I don't really remember it that way. I don't really. That was a song
I remember
that
it more on key.
Brent Spiner sang that song in a musical written by Christopher Durang when he was a young boy in New York. And he used to sing it, and I stole it from him.
Oh, it's so fantastic. I mean, what a song. And then push in the bush.
Oh, push in the bush.
In the bush. But I must have felt comfortable enough on that set to behave that way. Because I've been on sets where it's frowned upon to be as kind of flamboyant and swaying. I had an actor, because I used to wear Hawaiian shirts, loud Hawaiian shirts. And this English actress, who shall remain nameless, said, "Jonathan, your shirts are as loud as you are. Please, it's hard enough listening to you." So I stopped wearing loud shirts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you don't know what kind of set you're walking onto. Sure. But it certainly just made our experience so much better and just such a delight. I mean, truly.
And it's not flawless, this episode, but there's some really good stuff in this episode, and the mythology's great. I love that Richard, who plays the head of the FBI, who yells at...
Richard Schiff.
Oh, Richard Schiff.
Richard Schiff was fucking great.
Of course.
He had one scene, and he crushed it.
He crushed it. I mean, that is his wheelhouse right there. He just crushed it. The threatening call. It was so good.
He was great. And Sadler at the bar with, remind me of who played the FBI agent as the guidance counselor.
Julie Benz.
Julie Benz.
Yes.
That was her first episode, I think.
Yeah, was it? She was so, it's just shocking to see her. We just saw her at a convention, and it's just wild. Like, she was a baby on Roswell. I had, because to me, she was like...
Yeah, and she still looks fantastic.
Oh, 100%.
Looks the same.
She's on the circuit a lot. I see her a lot at cons.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it was so thrilling. So you guys are still thick as thieves? The ones that I saw together at, where were we? Dragon Con?
Oh, at Atlanta? Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, as much as we can be living.
If he picks up a phone with a cord on it, and he's still talking.
It's one of those where it's just you know what I mean? You have to talk into it.
I have the old ring on my phone, though. You heard the ring.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, that's
I love
funny.
it. Yeah, we're still thick as thieves. We try. I mean, this is truly why we go to, try to go to all these conventions, is like to hang out, because we don't see Nick and Jason because they're in LA.
Yeah.
Flex is a good guy too.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, he's the sweetest. He's got a new show up in Canada that he's shooting.
Yeah. I worked with one of his besties on a show, a guy named Sam Wetwer, who was kept talking about his relationship with Nick, and also another friend of his was one of my collaborators, Ted Sullivan, who was a writer from, I think, Riverdale, was on Next Gen, or one of the Star Treks.
Okay.
Discovery. Anyway, Nick comes up a lot. But I was most thrilled to see that you two, who were, the sort of the teacher's pets of the company, I would say. Wouldn't you say that?
I don't know. I don't know how people viewed me personally, because obviously, me and Kadam's had that falling out.
I don't know if you remember this.
Oh, you don't know the story?
No.
I almost
they almost laid
Roswell,
hands. Or maybe they did.
I almost fought him.
No way! You would have killed him.
Well, I know. That's why I didn't do anything. And obviously, it's not the right thing to do. But no,
really? Not really the right thing to fight with your executive producer, showrunner?
I mean, it's the long story, but he changed my hair for Summer of 47. Like, he just was just like, you're not wearing it like that, you're doing that. We did a podcast on Summer of 47, and we went over the whole thing. But Carol Trussell took us outside. He was on set, and she took us in the back alley. And I told him, I said, he put a hand on me, and I said, if you touch me again, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Wow. This is pre-HR.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, I also walked into I walked into his office, and I don't know what season it was. And I went, listen, and this is like this is my first big gig. I don't know a lot. I'm probably going to go back and be a math teacher. And it's just like, what the fuck is this guy think he knows? And I walk into the writer's office, and I forget what script it was. And I go, hey, can I come in? He's like, yeah, come in, sit down, what's going on? And I was like, I know you guys are trying. Like, I know you're trying hard, but this script is so bad.
Wow, Brenda, you have big balls.
I didn't know any better. I truly thought, I was like, honesty's the best policy, right?
How have I not heard these stories? Nobody likes gossip more than me.
That's how you know whoever it was that was late and didn't know their lines must have really been late and not known their lines, if that was the headline rather than this.
I know the crew all liked me, right? Like, we came prepared, we had fun, and it was all that. And I got along with Jamie Barber and Bartley and the DPs, and sound guys were phenomenal.
And you did have good hair.
Great hair.
I did have great hair.
And you still got it.
I do. Yeah. And so I said things like, I would say things like that because, number one, I didn't think I was going to do it for the rest of my life. And if I was going to do it for the rest of my life,
you mean acting?
Yeah. I wanted to do it with integrity.
There's your first ball. Why would you... What are you possibly thinking?
You're on a WB show about aliens?
Bill Sadler had integrity. That was my point.
Exactly. He could still arrive with integrity on time, too.
But overall, yeah, I don't...
Well, in my mind, in my memory, you guys were my teacher's pet.
Well, and you were ours, too, because we were so, again, on and off and dating, not dating, that the crew went through the ups and downs of like, what happened last night? They're not talking to it, And it's like, do a scene, and then we're in the middle of a scene, and she's like, can you just fucking do it already so we can get this fucking thing over with, right? And then it's like, oh, yeah, that fallout last night, what happened? And so it was...
fallout happened in front of them. Just happening in real time.
There could be... So it was, and looking back, obviously we were children of sorts, adults, but young adults.
Child.
And then...
I was legally a child.
You keep referencing that. I do like it.
And then, being just older, like on the crew, I just always think like, oh, can we not have this teenage drama? Not teenage, young adult drama.
But you were part of it.
Got me.
Oh yeah.
So, but I looking back, I have such a fond memory.
And then once you guys would get through your shit, then Majandra would have a scene with Shiri, and they'd talk about you.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
That I remember.
Be like, I remember in one scene, Shiri goes, as Liz Parker, she was like, Maria, like you've got to just forget about Brendan. And I was like, it's Michael. She said
Michael.
Brendan. In the scene, I was like, oh boy.
How did you think the episode held up, though, watching it? Like, this is 25 years ago.
I would say 75% of it was still great. It was
right.
There was some hokey shit in it, but the acting was good, the writing was good, the cinematography was good. I would have paced it faster if I had cut it now, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
It had, but that's the thing about your chemistry. You had overlapping chemistry. Shiri and Jason, there were pauses in there that I would have taken out. There's a lot of, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The thoughtfulness,
Yeah, and I know that was part of the character, and I get it. The thing about Roswell that I've also always gone to is I think in the very beginning and the conception of the show, after I was taken off as producer, that too many people knew who the aliens were.
Agreed.
There were 3 aliens, and another 2 or 3 regulars knew.
Yeah.
So that seemed to me like missed opportunity for drama.
Yeah.
I thought
that's
that
true.
was the sweet spot. With the less people that knew, the better, because then it is an us versus them of sorts, and you got to keep them in. But if it starts to get out there, it gets a little muddy.
Yeah, I would have liked it if Majandra knew and Shiri didn't, and Shiri was still on the fence and Fehr,
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
because there
Well,
was
she got healed though, so that's impossible.
Well,
she still couldn't know. There were ways around it, but the ship had sailed by the time the pilot was shot. I mean, it was
right.
there was no putting that horrible cliche about putting the toothpaste back in the tube, because that was out there and that was the premise, and those were the numbers. There were 3 aliens and 5 people who knew the truth.
right.
And Colin, God love him, and Nick, God love him, and even Bill. Those characters were not the leads.
Right. What was interesting too is when they made Bill part of our team.
An ally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was an ally suddenly.
I would have kept that tension longer.
Yeah,
looking back.
Boy, he's good in the show, though.
He's
He's
so
always
good.
He's so
good.
good in the show. So this is the continuation of 285 South.
Yes. We
Did
forgot
you-
that it was this
I know.
was a to be continued.
Yeah, let's not. Well, yeah. Let's not rehash that. But what is it like though, directing a continuation that someone else has done? Did you have?
Did Patrick do 285?
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh wait,
remember.
let's let me double check. And
Let's look it up.
this is our Bible, Jonathan. Crash into me the world of Roswell.
Directed
So we'll find
by
out right now.
Arvin Brown.
Really?
Arvin Brown did 285.
285.
Oh, yeah. He was a hot shit director.
Was he?
Yeah, he was from the Long Wharf Theater at Yale, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't he a
Brandon's like,
famous theater director?
Was he?
I'm like, what's Yale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy stuff. But yeah, he directed that, which was such a specific episode for Michael and Maria, and then to go from that into Riverdog. Like, what would they do? What was the protocol then, where it can feel like a continuous thing? Nothing.
I don't think we even had the same editor. Ordinarily, they give you a block if the shows are meant to be together, and then you direct both of them.
Right.
That's what they do now. But
Yeah, and editing, you're always switching off, right? You have 2 editors on
2 or 3
on
editors
television.
on a show, yeah. And
Right.
and now there's usually 2 or 3 DPs or 2 DPs.
Which is, I don't like that.
It's great if you're the director.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Well, you prep
Oh.
you could prep the whole show with the guy who's
You
shooting
have-
it, and you get
you
to
have
talk
their
about what
ear,
you want to
right.
do.
That's
But Bartley,
Right.
I learned a lot from Bartley. I really, really enjoyed it. He was a little cranky pants sometimes too, wasn't he?
He was, which was so great. Very serious.
But never with us though. Like
No.
we saw it with other people, but I don't think he ever.
How long
was
did he
with
stay
me.
around?
1 year,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then we had Rodney Strong. We had Rodney as the second
Good old
year
Rod.
DP,
Let's go to the book.
and
Yeah, we're
and
gonna go to
then
the book.
and then Jamie Barber was the DP for the 3rd year.
Right.
He moved up.
Now, unfortunately, this book
I remember.
doesn't
go
tell
ahead.
you doesn't tell you who the old DPs are.
No,
Come on.
I know.
I remember Barkley took me to. I went back to Vancouver during one summer, the hiatus, and Bartley was back there, and we hooked up. And he goes, "Hey, come on, I'm gonna take you somewhere."
Took you to
So
the
I said,
steakhouse.
No, so he took me, and we arrive on set of the ExFiles,
Ah.
and I go in the trailer, and Duchovny's in there, and I walk up with Bartley beside him, and he's got his apron on for his makeup, whatever, and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, so you're the one."
Wow.
And I went, yeah. And he was like, "I can see it." And that was the end of the conversation. I mean, no, we talked a little bit after that, but that was funny because that's why David cast me, or I caught his eye in the first place, because he was doing X-Files, and then when he was going to do Disturbing Behavior in Vancouver, I went in, and he was just like, "This could be Duchovny's like kid."
Yeah.
And so caught his eye, and then that's how I ended up getting Roswell. Really, I think is kind of just from that, from David remembering that and knowing how much talent Vancouver had at the time, and wanting to go up there and do a casting session.
I miss Vancouver too. I shoot in Toronto now. It's a different animal.
It's the big smoke. Yeah. That's LA, New York kind of vibe, rivalry, whatever else. But I do love Toronto. Even I can't. Vancouver's more beautiful, more relaxing. It's a nicer place to be, but Toronto's fun.
The dirty couve.
That's
the dirty couve.
That's what's in you. That's what I referenced. That's a reference to Majandra in my diary.
Woo!
A dirty couve.
I wish you would have kept a diary from then.
We go through her diary from that time, right, Jonathan?
Oh,
it's so wild. I mean, it is brutal.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Literally,
you were a kid
from the time, like, this is it. And like, it's tricky because it's like I'm writing and then I just stop. You know, it's like a teenager, not a lot of commitment to it. It's very wishy-washy, but it's fantastic.
Is it totally revealing as well?
Oh my God. It's the most, like the horror that my children were holding this, you know, luckily.
That's the first place I went.
Totally.
Was how old were they and how much did they read?
Thank goodness they weren't reading yet. But oh my gosh, I mean, it's crazy. But I'm so, like, the luck of it being the last surviving thing is just like, what is that? But it's so embarrassing at the same time.
I love it.
Just my spelling alone. Very GED, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You were emancipated. You were very GED.
I clearly stopped my education right there. Yeah.
Do you also remember the struggle that we had as a show to stay on a network? Didn't we change the networks at least twice?
Well,
no.
Fox didn't pick us up. The WB did. And then we moved to UPN.
And then we were 2 seasons on WB, and then we moved to UPN with Buffy. But every year, you know, we were on the verge of getting canceled. That was the Tabasco campaign. Remember that? When all the fans sent
which was very successful and very cool.
Yeah.
Now, the Tabasco
cool.
scene in Bird Dog, Big Dog Night, Three Dog Night. What's the name of the show that we just did?
Bird. Riverdog.
He just starts listening.
But I like
Riverdog.
Riverdog.
On the chocolate cake, is that the first clue? Is that the first Tabasco scene in the series? Because
we do it in the pilot. We do it in the pilot.
But it's explained in this show, in this episode, that it's part of our gestalt that we like to mix sweet and hot. And
you would think we would know, but we didn't even know Riverdog was the second parter of a 2-parter upon rewatching it yesterday. Or today.
Yeah, maybe it's just Isabel explaining it to Maria. I don't know. But yeah, it did feel like Maria they were reiterating. And maybe it was a thing where it's like, it's been 7 episodes or whatever.
When you guys are flirting and she gives a great eye roll, that my favorite beat of her work in that episode, where she can't bear how you two dig each other. I mean, Isabel can't bear it. Yeah.
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 It was, could my life get any worse? It was so great.
Oh, God, it was so good.
Yeah.
And the mom, I remember liking the mom.
Yes, Mary Ellen.
She was delightful.
Yes, she was so delightful.
It's so funny. I hadn't watched any of them for a long, long time. So I sat down to watch, and I said, I don't remember the scene in the house where you open the thing up and you slide down the shaft, and, you know, you're getting away from Julie and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, at the Atherton Dome.
Yeah. I think that might have been shot by someone else.
Oh, interesting.
Because I mean, I'm old, but I remember almost everything I've ever shot. That scene, that location, I didn't. And then the next scene, I said, oh, yeah, I remember this. I remember this. I remember this. So perhaps that was either on Arvin's or another episode shot in the same location and another director picked it up, because I don't remember. I don't remember the stunt.
I think they took it from Arvin's. You know what I mean? Like it was at the tail end of his.
That's exactly what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I certainly would remember the opening scene of a show, because it all comes right back to you. And you either have a smile or a oi, you know.
Totally. I do remember that rat being very professional. The rat
that was a good, well-trained rat.
It was a very well-trained rat.
I noticed that too, and I was like, I wasn't around for that.
What about the dog at the over at the reservation where they were selling Chusky's? Because there was a dog that was pretending to sleep. Very well-trained dog.
More professional than us, for sure.
Not you guys. More professional than some. You know, I did another show with Cullen after. I stayed close with Cullen.
Oh, you did?
He's
lovely.
Yeah, we did.
What show was that?
It was called. It was called The Good Guys.
Oh, okay.
It was it was ill-fated. They were two cops. He and Bradley Whitford.
Was that? Yes, I remember that. That wasn't based on
the Ryan Gosling.
The Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe, right?
No.
But like same name and same.
Yeah, this was pre that.
Two cops.
Oh,
okay, I remember that.
Wow.
What do you like doing better, directing or acting?
Directing, hands down. I'm better at it.
Hands down.
I really enjoy it. I like to be busy all day if I'm going to be working.
Mm-hmm.
I was okay as an actor, but I was better as a director. I also like both sides of the camera. I really like to schmooze with the camera guys and the costume and the makeup. I like the team on the other side of the camera. Some actors who become directors are not thrilled about having to deal with all that other, and I like that full other side. That's why if you can prep with your cinematographer, which is the case on the big shows now, you spend literally a 10-day show. You have 10 days of prep with your own first AD and your own cinematographer and the writer of the episode. And if you can't figure that shit out before you get to work, then you shouldn't be doing the job.
Stay in front of the camera.
Who was your AD on this? Do you remember? Was it Lou?
Oh, it was. I wrote this down because I was like, oh my God. So this is what's so crazy.
I had Lou for years on shows.
Well,
he was on Star Trek. He was older than me. Was it Lou?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We used to love Lou.
I just remember Lou going, summertime.
He was so special. And I totally forgot about Lou in a sense. And then my son's name is Louis, like with an S. And I'm always like, God, that's close. I mean, that is so close. We call him Lou. You know, it's not Louis with an E, but it's, you know, it's pronounced the same. And then the credits rolled and wouldn't you know it, Lou's name is Louis with an S. I was like, wow, this was...
When I go back, he was on Next Gen back in the 80s.
Was he... Did he do the same thing where he wore like the Wednesday outfit and the Monday outfit?
Yes, of course he did. I love
that so much. What a special man.
I remember him telling me about... Shit, what was the helicopter show way back in the day? No. Oh. No. It was like the Knight Rider of helicopters.
Yep, I got you.
We'll
big 80s action actor in it.
Yeah, we'll let the fans maybe answer. But he first did that. And they would go into a big studio. The guy would crawl into the helicopter. And all day, it was just like, veer to the left, veer to the right, rockets coming, whatever they did. And it was a whole day. And he would just talk about how he just paced up and down the thing while this whole day of helicopter cockpit talk was going on. And he was like, it was brutal.
For filmmaking at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Just
I'll tell you, to go back to an earlier question, what does not hold up rewatching Roswell are the process shots from inside the car.
Yeah.
The projection of what's supposed to be outside the windows is so much better now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But we actually did a lot of that on
a
the
lot of
road.
A lot of the Jeeps are on the road, but the interior of the car seems
funky.
Where dodgy.
I don't think we ever. I'll have to rewatch that because I remember when me and Majandra were driving. We were like on Cahuenga. We were by like Encino and Balboa golf course. Like I remember where we were, and most of it I thought was we never really did any
process work.
I don't think we never did a lot of trailer work. It was always we would actually
the cameras
drive.
were mounted. I remember driving around behind.
They were
cars.
mounted. Yeah.
You know what was interesting? Did you notice? And this is what's so fascinating now with CGI. You know, this was not the case back then. But Riverdog's torch, when he's like
was brilliant.
It was so. I was like, oh my god! I was like worried for Jason because I knew
it looked like it was that close to his face.
Totally. And it was really for that like 2-shot of him with the torch, with Jason and the torch right there. It was like they really doused it with like some sip of
I think
fluid.
it was practical.
Old Ned. Yeah, that
he was great.
Blazing
too, I thought.
Was like, wow.
He was great. You know, Shiri's directing, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, I think she got her start on Unreal because it was
I do too. I think
acclaimed.
that's what she was doing in Vancouver. She was just transitioning over, and we were all staying at the Slutton, and I remember seeing her at the
the Slutton in the Gerard room.
You got it.
If that'll make you quit acting, I don't know. I mean, that's when everybody looks in the mirror.
It's where all the hockey teams. It's where all the hockey teams stay. It's the Sutton Hotel.
You saw more people that you knew from LA than you ever saw in LA.
It was the wildest thing. The wildest. You're like, oh my goodness! Every time.
It is legendary though, and it is
the bar at
officially
night.
the Slutton. Like
amazing.
Which are we allowed to say that? Well, I mean, we are going to, but that's an interesting.
Why? Slutton?
Well, you can't. Is it shaming? Are we shaming the women that attend just the women that attend the Gerard?
That you associate it with women.
Well, slut. I guess, but you say a male slut, right? Like you add male to it.
Think about Shorzy. He's like
just
slut.
like when I say pilot, I'm like female pilot.
Brendan steps in it so much. It's so great. There was one episode where they were like, someone asked him something and he goes, well, I just, she was just so, I just never thought I'd ever be with a Latina. You remember?
Oh my God.
I know.
Talking about you?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know him so well. To not know him.
Oh my God.
It was so hilarious. And the girl that was the guest.
She was mortified. And you said, get it. He doesn't mean any harm.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's okay.
I mean,
you're lucky he's not calling you a slut.
It was. Yeah.
No, but I think you can say
I stand
slut,
by what I
back
said, but it didn't come off right. I didn't, my brain couldn't, my mouth couldn't match.
I love that you were going to fight Jason Katims.
Isn't that amazing?
Did you have?
Yeah.
Have you asked Jason to do the podcast?
I know.
We haven't yet.
Who have you got?
Majandra, so by the way, this is where I'm like, where am I in all this thing? Because to get Norris, I didn't have his number, but Majandra did. To get you, I didn't have your number, but Majandra did.
Yeah. Well, everybody liked
Majandra. Well, yeah, and then to reach out to Katims, Mahandra's like, yeah, I got his number, and I'm like, what?
Well,
clearly I was a complete ass.
I love that he used to cast his father as the judges, or he always put his father in a show, which I thought was the dearest thing.
Yeah, it really was. He was on our show.
When I learned his father, again, I had no idea he was on our show. Out to lunch.
Well, first of all, you were a kid.
I was busy writing in my diary. And
you were busy with that you get that purple diary.
Exactly. But when I realized that his father was an actor, I was like, oh my goodness, that was a whole other layer that I was completely missing. But yeah, it's so fascinating. His ability, Jason, to not only obviously write so well, but also these very, in my opinion, very different genres. To go from Roswell onto Friday Night Lights, so much football.
Was Friday Night Lights after Roswell?
Yeah, because it was a David E. Kelley show. And then Katims took over after Roswell.
Well, he also took over Boston Public.
That's right.
From David E. Kelley.
Wow.
Yeah.
or Boston Legal,
He's
Boston
got a
Public.
storied career.
He really does.
And but I think this is the thing where when you let him do his thing, it didn't matter whether it was aliens or whether it was football. Maybe he's got a football guy or a sci-fi guy to do that. His whole thing is the relationships, which is why all his shit works, is because everyone can relate to those things. And he writes relationships so well when he's left to his own devices that
that's why Parenthood was such a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so that's, I thought, where we really, if the network would have left us alone, I thought getting to sci-fi, which we do in season 2, it kind of goes off the rails a little bit, where if it was left to that relationships and just kept it more grounded and keep it sci-fi light, I think that's the stuff I think all the episodes the fans enjoy, that we enjoy doing, and everything else, because it's relatable. The first line in the book of Roswell.
What is it? A new spin on the
a
concept
show about
of
teenage alienation.
Yeah.
Teenage alien. Just that backdrop, I thought, was that's the canvas to paint on, and then he just paints all these wonderful relationships.
And now this
he rarely came to the set.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is he
I
was
felt you.
very rarely there. Nutter was sort of like the showrunner.
Yeah.
While he was there.
But how long did Nutter stay around?
One season.
Oh, was he there for the whole season?
I think he left.
He left before I got there.
Yeah, he left
really?
before.
Oh, yeah.
No way, because this was episode 7, and I felt like he was there for so long. He really made his mark, is what it was.
He's one of the most successful pilot directors in the history of television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most successful directors in history. I was
totally.
frankly, very jealous and very butthurt that I didn't get to do the pilot.
Oh,
and
I
when
would
it
be
was
too.
so good, and then I watched Nutter's career, and he was such a nice guy. He had all kinds of back issues, which I think I see him at the Slutton too. You see everybody at the Slutton.
Yeah. Well, he's the one that Majandra was working with on Baron and Toluca, but he was the one that told Majandra to this is what you have to write. And he championed her through that script.
He was
fantastic.
He goes, doing Game of Thrones, all these things. And he goes, I still get the most calls about Roswell. Try to find something where it's obviously not Roswell. You don't own the IP, but do something with Michael and Maria. And then just was so helpful the entire time. I mean, truly gave me a free education in writing, which, we certainly know I have no education, but it was just such an experience. And then he, still just checks in. Tom Lavanino. It's so fantastic.
He's so great. Do you remember Phil Goldfarb?
Yes, from the pilot.
Yes.
He didn't last past the pilot, but I loved his pinstripe suits. Yep. He always had those suits.
I went on to work with him for many years because he's Dean Devlin's guy. And I went to do Librarians and Leverage and all those shows. And Phil is his producer. So I got to know. Phil just died recently. And he became a really dear, dear friend. He goes all the way back. He worked on Taxi Driver.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I loved Phil Goldfarb.
Classic New York.
Yeah, and I didn't know how the industry worked, and so when we did the pilot, I got attached to him. I really liked him for whatever reason. We really got along, and then when it got picked up, I was just like, "Where the fuck's Phil?" Yeah,
did Phil become Carol Trussell? I think so.
Or vice versa? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because
Carol was
the line producer.
Well,
Carol,
but we had Gordon as the UPM.
Yeah, Gordon was the UPM, but Carol was the line producer.
Oh, but was Carol? She was the line producer for a season? I guess so.
All of them. All of them.
God, my memory's terrible.
What a wild.
Oh yeah, of course. Because yeah. Now I'm remembering.
It's all
watching this.
Back.
Yeah.
I know. Is it though? And we'll just forget it again. But
so you got to write it down. But so that what I wanted to ask though is in regards to showing up and having to contend with essentially teenagers. I mean, let's be honest, late teens, early 20s, and just that environment. Was that a thought? Was it a consideration, or just felt normal?
Well, you can see how adult I am, even at 72. So I felt right at home.
A perfect environment. Yeah, I look at these episodes.
I
go,
never
"Oh,
even thought about it. I never even.
interesting."
And you can see in these scenes, and I don't know if I think it's a combination of the concentration, the writing, the shooting, and the fact that we all cared. And that season 1, there's some really good scenes in this Riverdog episode. Some really good acting scenes that are layered. And I always look for some levity, and the levity helps motivate and helps the characters be so likable. And you two are a great example of it. But even the eye roll from Katie and the mom has a little bit, and also the stuff, the kind of attempt that Julie Benz and Sadler have. There's all kinds of, and whenever there's fun, I try to just make sure you get it, make sure you have it in the close-up, because it's going to help. It's going to help any show, but a show this good, the music is more interesting if it's got a little, if it makes you smile occasionally.
You remind me so much of Tim Busfield. Who's one of my good.
Is he?
He's one of.
Is he married to
Melissa Gilbert?
Melissa Gilbert.
Yeah.
Are they still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're here in Albuquerque right now. I just golfed with them a little while ago. He directed a bunch of episodes of Night Shift when I was out here, and I got to know him and Melissa and whatever else, and we've become close. And again, it's funny. Michael Garrett on Roswell was, very serious, outsider loner, and the guy I played on Night Shift was this, in the closet, gay fighter, emergency doctor in the Army, and fairly, serious and had his walls up and everything else. I actually think they're fairly similar in some ways, which is really interesting. But Busfield, like you, he always, when he directs, he was just like, he just find a little bit of funny, funny, because if you don't find that, then, he's like, he would always say, spell mood backwards.
A good call.
Right? That was always his note when we'd do a serious scene, and he would be like, spell mood backwards, and he'd be like, let's do it again.
I'm gonna steal that. Did he do Roswell?
No, he never did. I just got him on, but as soon as he walked on set, older guy, had been in the business, been an actor, been behind the camera, and I just went, holy shit, this is Frakes 2.0 to me.
Really? That's so interesting.
In my life. Yeah, it was. So.
Did he sing the salad song? I doubt it.
He didn't sing a salad song. Yeah. There's no pushing the bush, and there's no.
I saw his wife this weekend in Utah.
Oh, I love it. How was your convention?
Well, there's an underbelly at Dragon Con. Did we talk about this when I saw you?
No.
How many times have you been there?
Our first time.
Oh, it's got to be 40 years old. I mean, we've been going since we started on the show. We go every 5-6 years. Oh. But there's a, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but there is a sort of a swingers thing with these cosplayers or anime who seem to, they have a get out of jail for that weekend from their real lives with another person. Okay. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
And I've mentioned this to people, and I say, "Oh my God, you don't find out for like 6 Dragon Cons until somebody clues you in, and then that's all you." Because when they come to the photo ops, they've been up getting high and fucking for all weekend. I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness.
So but you guys have been doing cons like Star Trek back in the day when it was frowned upon, right? If you did a con.
Was it?
You weren't a real actor.
Yeah.
That's why way back in the day, way back, it was
some
just
actors still think that way.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Oh, Rosalind Chow." I was with at this Get Out the Vote. You know who Rosalind Chow is? No. Wonderful actress. She's in the 3 Body Problem.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
And Crazy Rich Asians, and she's an Asian actor, and she was on our show. She was married to Cullum Meaney on the show, and she said, "Cullum talked me out of conventions." I said, why? She said, she just told me not to do them. I said, well, don't you like money? She said, yeah, I like money. I said, don't you like to go out on Saturday night with your friends and have like the seafood tower at the Capitol Grill and order a steak and a martini? Yeah, that sounds great. I love that. I said, that's what the conventions are.
So true.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
I said, come back into the fold, Rosalind. Come join us.
100%. I just remember Star Trek being the ones that have always
The
done
old
it.
guys, Shatner's Star
The
Trek.
old guys.
That's where it's, I call them the old guys. But that's,
Right.
But
it
yeah,
is,
that's where
it started. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and everyone else kind of, if you wanted to be serious, you kind of poo-pooed it. And then Comic-Con kind of took off, but we weren't around. Social media Comic-Con hadn't quite done whatever Hall H, Hall H, all that stuff. We just missed the boat on some things.
Yeah.
But but as a genre show, Roswell still has a presence in the con world, does it not?
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Paris next year. We're going to Australia.
There you go.
It's great. We went to
Does
Germany.
anybody in your cast poo-poo it?
I don't think so.
I don't know if anyone poo-poos it, but there's going to be people that don't go.
Yeah.
And does Jason like it?
Yeah. We kind of brought him into the fold.
I bet.
We
Because
called him.
he's much more shy than you guys.
Yeah, we were like, Jason, just come. You'll just it's us hanging out. And then he can't. And then we've had so much fun. And that was Nick's first convention, period.
Dragon Con?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then we coerced him to join us. And
So
yeah. But he's going to go to the one in Paris. So we have like a redo. Because,
yeah, me and Majandra thought we hadn't done cons in forever. And so when we did Baron and Toluca, we were like, hey, listen, we got to get out there and do all that stuff. So we hired a con manager and then we got out there.
A con man.
And then a con man. And then, and then when I forget what one came around or whatever else, we said like, let's get Jason to do it. Let's get Nick to do it. Let's see who would do these things. And so we ended up getting those guys in. So it's a fun reunion for all of us at that point to all show up and do it. And like you said, order the seafood tower and the martini and have some fun on Saturday night.
Oh,
so fun. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. What
you guys
an episode.
are delight. You guys are such a delight.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
well, you make it easy. You make
try.
it. That's why what happened. You turned on the machine and we just started to talk. But it was kind of a treat to revisit the episode because I was reminded of the dynamics. I was reminded how clever it was. I loved the crash down. There were a lot of. I was very proud of that show. And
I was genuinely drawn in. I was like,
I think we all were. Yeah, I think we all were. How has it changed? Like looking back at that to what you're doing now.
I think I think it's cut faster, frankly.
Yeah.
I had found that some of the scenes that if I was cutting now, because the attention what year was that? What year is this?
It was
Roswell?
This was 1999.
2000.
November 17th, 1999 was the air date.
So almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the attention span of any audience, people I think that's what it was. And our show, which is 37 years old, really feels slow to me when I watch it.
Right.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Right.
But acting is acting, and those when you save those beautiful tight close-ups and the people, and you look, God, you guys look so gorgeous. That's the other thing.
I mean,
between your age and Barkley and the makeup,
yeah,
you can handle the close-up. I mean, if you go in and on my face at a tight close-up, now you're getting a whole different animal than what you're getting in this show, and it's I really enjoyed it. So I thank you for the opportunity to watch it again, and I thanked from the moment I saw you guys at Dragon Con. I've been told my wife I was so happy to see my two favorites.
Oh my gosh. Well, us too. We are always harassing you. Always. Every year or two, we pop in, go, what's going on?
I'm in.
Will you read this? Yeah.
Well, I remember how weird it was when I lived on Hazen and you lived down the street.
I mean, but by the way, not a walking neighborhood,
Oh my God, no.
Get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
A car will come around the corner and just take you out. Yeah.
Peace out, guys.
Wild. All right.
All right. We love you.
So
Thank
much.
you so much.
Well, that was lovely. Wasn't that lovely?
He's like, seeing him. I remember seeing him at Dragon Con, and I was like, I got to go say hi.
Yeah.
And then when I like stepped up to him, because I don't know, again, I don't know how people feel about me, as you know. Maybe I'm on the spectrum. Maybe I got some sort of what's the one where you can't read people's facial features? Asperger's.
Which is now just something that's on the spectrum. By the way, we're all on it. It's a
Oh.
spectrum, you know?
We're all on it. Well, but it doesn't go from like, anyways. Past
That's
that.
such a spectrum-y thing to say. I'm kidding. But yes, no, I mean, I
But
think
he
you
was
do
so-
read facial expressions so well. What are you talking
No, I
about?
do, but what I'm saying is I
It just
don't
turns out I
know-
have a very prominent, like
I
my
know.
facial expressions are just so over the top. That's what you need.
I know. Exactly. Like
Wait,
they're comical.
in
No, but what-
Atlanta? Okay, go ahead. Remind me to tell you my Atlanta story.
Okay. But when I say that, I don't know how people perceive me because, like you've said before, you walk around behind me when we're together and you're like, he's not mad at you. He's not mad at you. So I don't know what people are.
I would love if I do that like at a Walgreens. They're like, I don't care.
Just
I'm in the line.
walking down in like the allergy pill aisle.
Totally.
He's not mad at you. He's
He's
not mad at you.
Just Claritin.
But I don't know how people view me from back then, right? Because I am a different person. I said shit, right? He obviously didn't know a lot of it. So I don't know how ecstatic they are to see me. I know who I'm ecstatic about. So when I walked up to him, I always kind of when I walk up to anyone from back in the day, unless I have, there's a few people in the higher up executive position, maybe because most everyone likes me, but I just kind of go like, hey man, how's it going? And the joy in his fucking face. And he was like, where's Majandra? And I was like, oh, she's, and he's like, I'm coming to see you guys later on. And it was just, his energy is contagious. Like he's one of those people that
He really
has
is. Lifts the room.
crazy. The salad song. I know.
What a treat. I was like, I've never been more excited for something. And just like, it's so important and hard to fucking like just commit to the bit or the song or whatever. I can't do it. For him
I've
to
seen
go,
your work. I've seen your work.
I am praying for AI, just needing it so bad. No, but
I'm gonna sell my voice and likeness and everything else
free. No,
immediately.
but just to leave the legacy behind of being good. But yeah, he went all the way through. I mean, that was the song, and like
It really was.
that were the salad tossers. Like it's so beautifully full circle because he says I like the salad. I like to toss it up and put the dressing on.
Who doesn't?
Same. Extra dressing. Yeah, so that was just such a delight. I mean, really, what a lovely soul. Even at that age, I remember thinking, that's the kind of person to be married to.
100%. He would keep nothing against his wife. I've met her briefly, Jeannie, on set and all that stuff. But what I'm gonna say is he has to keep that is the keeper of the life of the house. You know what I mean? Like he's like what you say, like he comes in whistling, he comes in dancing, singing, whatever else. Maybe sometimes you have two of those people in a house. I don't know if his wife is that person, but fuck, man, he lights up every room he goes into. It's got to be the most. You can't be in a bad mood with him. Yeah,
and those like twinkly eyes, his height, just his stature, like the whole thing comes together in this way that you can't not get sucked in.
I'm very jealous of his shoulders. The width of his shoulders is in fucking incredible.
I
just want to
no
ride on
idea. Papi, just you want to redo some dad thing. I said to David, I've got to go. I've got Jonathan Frakes on. And you're like just in the panic. And he's like, who? I was like, Jonathan Frakes. And he like takes to his phone. He goes, oh, I know him. Like, and shows me a picture. And I was like, oh, damn. The shoulders. Like I forgot. That is
He's a fucking specimen.
a specimen. I wanted to ask him, and then I was like, I don't know if we're allowed to in these times. What it was like to walk around looking like that with shoulders like
with
that.
such a big dick swinging between your legs.
Small? Because like something had to have gone wrong genetically. Like it's just he really hit the jackpot. But
he fills out that uniform with 0 shoulder pads, I'm sure, and starch better than it's
wild. He is the V. Like
he 100% is the V. He's got a swimmer's body of sorts, right? It's that Michael Phelps
yeah,
thing, but
and then
like on a tall. Oh fuck!
And then the gorgeous face with those big peepers. I mean,
and then the personality.
That's
like
what's so wild.
He's not an asshole.
Usually, you don't even need to develop any kind of personality when you look like that. So why do it? You know, too much effort.
Usually, like a man like that singing fucking show tunes.
Say no more.
You would be like, what do I want to say? They're blank for something. They're trying to make up for something.
Compensating.
They're compensating for something.
Yes.
Zero
compensation.
It's all just fucking
joy.
Dressing on the salad.
Joy. Yeah.
It's just
unbridled joy. It's so true.
he's
and because what's interesting is like when you're in that environment, there are times that are tough, whatever, like where the true personality is going to come out. Like no one has the stamina to keep that up, you know, on a 22 episode season. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to come out, and he was always just a delight.
Yeah, the way he's wired.
Yeah,
is wild.
And
is it a choice, or is it that's for our medical? We're having a psychology medical podcast after
very, very
this one. I know. I'm just trying to cover ground.
No, did you see what happened when you brought it up? I started to.
No, I know you went into full stroke mode.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring up. In Atlanta, we were at dinner.
Oh no!
And you go, and like this needs to be prefaced. For those that don't know.
Fuck.
No, that we have a very...
I don't even like the way you're
No.
I already know the preface is going to
We have a very straightforward relationship. You feel like you're afraid of me.
Hold on.
But you are one of... Oh my God, what are you doing? You're trying to fuck with the audio now. I see.
How's that?
Talk? This
Try
is
now?
Perfect too. Yeah, I mean, it just seems a little robot-y.
Yeah, no, 100... Oh, fuck. Hold on. I almost turned off my... How about now?
Still
is good
staticky.
Now? See, you're robot-y to me.
It's like
you're staticky to me.
Okay, let's stop this and start over.
No, let's just... I pulled this thing closer. Go ahead.
Cables have got to be loose.
I know
how's the interface?
Interface seems fine. I'm still recording on that.
No.
Check. That's better. Okay. All right. Anyways, wait, so what's your Dragon Con story?
Oh yeah, so I was prefacing it saying that we have a dynamic where we'd like to think that the other one can feel free to give constructive criticism. Like when you do have a criticism, I do take it seriously, I do. Maybe not in the moment, but
with anger attached.
In the moment, it might have a defensive reaction, but I will be like, oh, consider it, think about it. And you go.
I already don't like this. This is
people. I find you to be so like sensitive with me. Like you're very kid gloves with me, and you go at dinner, like we're there with a big group of people, and you're like, "Can I ask you what's with the blinking?" And I was like, "Yeah, I noticed I blink a lot." You're like, "Yeah, you should look into that." Like I should see a doctor or something. And stayed with me. Stayed with me.
You know where I first
You know where I first noticed it?
On BNT.
Yeah, B&T editing you. I was like, this fucking bitch. There is no cut where I was like, I don't know if she's got something in her eye 24/7, but there's no cut to get out of this fucking scene of her close up without her just go this fucking butterfly eyelashes or eyelids or whatever,
And I
whatever you want to call them.
I don't have fake lashes. I don't have dry eyes. I don't think they're not bothering. Nothing's bothering my eyes. My point, it's like, this is some weird mental thing.
But I have spent so much time with you. And I have not noticed this in real lifetime.
But I did it at the dinner, and that's where you were like, oh, maybe you should look into that.
I don't know if it's something you're thinking about where you're, it was
yeah,
pretty
it's
aggressive.
like it's how I disassociate. I'm just like,
yeah, totally.
I did notice that Madonna does that a lot. And so now I'm good. I'm cool. I'm fine.
we're cool with it. Okay, I see.
Madonna does it. But anyway, that was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, based on that. Now I'm wondering, I don't want to go this far. Am I not an asshole?
What do you mean?
Well, do people actually like me from back then? Like, I always just assume, like, oh, I don't know why, because I'm actually a nice person and not, by the way, no nice person calls himself a nice person.
I know. I don't think I'd ever be like, I'm such a nice person.
I'm not saying I'm nice. Anyway,
in this situation, you do have to like stand up for yourself and be like, this is who I am, which is a nice person. I think everybody, besides people that you may have had like full on, undeniable issues with, looks back on you with like affection, fondly.
Well, that's the thing with Kenny Choi, which I've told you before.
Is this code?
Kenny Choi. My buddy Kenny Choi is an actor.
Okay.
And when we did Samurai Girl, I'm not Samurai Girl, but the other lead, and Kenny Choi plays the bad guy, and I would just riff with it. Like, I would just say kind of whatever I wanted, have fun with him or whatever else. And it was, I don't know. Obviously, we didn't shoot it that long. It was fucking 6 episodes. But more than halfway through, he comes up to me, and I remember the trailers were parked, and we had just gotten out of the makeup or something like that, not together, but we kind of met, and we had a scene together, and he goes, I got it now. And I went, okay, what do you, I don't know. He's like, I got it. And I went, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. What do you got? He goes, you're not an asshole. And I went, oh. I was like, wait, have I been one? What triggered this whole thing? And he goes, no, you treat me like we're buddies and friends, and you'll say things to me that maybe someone who have just met shouldn't be saying those things to each other or that comfortable with each other. But when you're comfortable, you just say kind of whatever you want. And he's like, I get it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's just being me. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I thought you were an asshole for this entire time. And I just got it. He was like, you're just having fun. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and I have been having fun. And sorry, I thought you were having fun too. And he's like, well, I am now. And I was like, oh, fucking good. Great.
Yeah. But it fucking took you so long.
Yeah. Fucking catch up, bud.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it, where if you don't get the sweet spot of the right amount of time with me, I think I'd leave you with that impression.
I don't know, because
more back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, look, you're blunt. I don't want to say you're rough around the edges, because that's weird. That also implies like
I manscape.
so smooth around the edges. I'm so sorry. That's why I'm blinking.
It's shining off.
Yeah,
of
the wind is blowing the the freshly shaven. Okay, this is. I think that what it is like you don't do like the, you know, like you're not like smiley girl. You know what I'm saying? Which is so annoying. I don't know how to do this in man's terms. But
right
in men's terms, but like you're to the point. You're very like authentically who you are, and a lot of people do all these weird things like at first until you get to know them.
Right.
And you're also blunt. And listen, your face is doing so much heavy lifting for like the impression thing. Like you have a face that looks dead serious. That's how you need to walk around.
With the thing here?
Yeah.
Look how big this is.
Yeah, take that hand.
Put your hand to your face.
But also like make the hand smile.
Put your hand put your hand to your face. Oh, it's same.
Oh, you mean length? Oh, that yeah, but not not width. That's for sure.
Not width.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, put your hands up and and be like, and then you become whatever in Gromit. Yeah. Walter and Gromit? Yeah.
Exactly, totally. All right. We should wrap this up.
We definitely should. But yeah, that was lovely.
Golly, that was such a sweet run-in with him to be able to get him on this thing. We could have got him anyways, but just like, you know, to go over that and then to not know anything about our fucking show from 285 South, our favorite episode, to this and going, oh, rewatch. What a wild, it's a bold move calling this podcast a Roswell rewatch. With
we're rewatching.
We're rewatching.
Yeah. You know what? We're rewatching. And sure, we don't have a memory like Jason Fehr, who has an incredible memory of everything. But we've got the diary, you know? We've got the tomes.
We got all the stuff, and we got the, the Crash Into Me world of what else do you need?
What else do you need?
Holy shit. Nothing like two total ding-dongs, knuckleheads, trying to do a rewatch of the show they were on. And this episode proved to me I know nothing about this show.
That's why it's so great, though. First of all, 25 years ago. Okay.
I mean, it's so sweet. I think it's the sweet spot.
Yeah,
right?
25 years ago.
No, the sweet spot of we're basically listening ourselves to the podcast. Like we're reliving this too, along with the fans.
Exactly.
But we're also dumber than most of them, I think, at this point.
I mean,
we're less informed. We have good stories.
Well, of course, we were actually making the show. And
which is why we should know.
No,
more.
But we also have scenes that have been like cut out, things that were ideas that then were there's so much. Tell me
a scene that was cut out.
Oh my God.
Remember?
Just the pilot. I remember having look, you're going to read bad reviews. You're going to get insecure.
Wait,
Jonathan
this
Frakes,
seems like a gaslight. I've read these.
No. Jonathan Frakes directed this and was like, Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it is 25 years ago and we did not write this. We didn't build this world. We showed up on set and we did know our lines and we were on time and did what we were supposed to do. And I mean, that's why Jason's memory is so impressive.
I will say this, just before we leave, when I was like, Riverdog, we're doing Riverdog. And then I went back and watched it. I literally thought this was like when I'm there with the shirt off in the tent doing the ayahuasca trip.
Which was Amy's episode, yeah.
Yeah, and which we've already done. And I just thought, Riverdog, the whole...
Basically what this is this podcast, and I'm not gaslighting you. This podcast is when people, our family, our loved ones, start to mark when we started to slowly go into dementia.
I like this. I like this as a thing. We should put that out there. They can look back.
Look back.
Holy smokes.
Okay.
All right.
Have fun.
All right. You did dodge a bullet.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Sucker.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The X-Files with Majandra Delfino.
And Brendan Fehr is a production of Portholes Inc. Media.
Edited and mixed by Stephen Wells.
Theme music by Fred Corey.